We
Say this. You made a way. Out of no way. You keep on blessing me. Every day. Fight on my battle. You say the day. Yeah. Let's go. Can't nobody do me like you, Jesus. Can't nobody do me like the Lord, yeah. I give you glory, yeah. I give you glory, yeah. I give you glory,
all right, all right, all right. Hello, wonderful people. All right, let's see. Okay, I was all caught up in the sun. What are we doing today? We're going to do James 1 and 5 and James 1 and 6. All right. So I hope everyone is doing wonderful. Please like the video on YouTube, become a subscriber if you so choose to, and also share. It's nothing wrong with sharing. Sharing is caring. Okay. We share all kind of funny videos and things, but it's also okay to share the word of God. That's what I'm doing with you. So we're coming from the John Gill Bible. But first I'm gonna go, like I said, I do it backwards. I'm gonna do the little bit of um, summary type situation here. James 1 and 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally, upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. Okay, if any of you lack wisdom, this is a humble acknowledgement that we don't have all the answers, especially when facing trials, as mentioned in the previous verses. Let him ask of God. God invites us to come to him in prayer, especially when we need guidance and understanding, and we always do. That give it to all men liberally. God is generous. He does not withhold wisdom. He freely gives it to those who sincerely seek it and upbraid it not. God won't scold, criticize, or shame you for asking. He welcomes your request when you're asking for wisdom. He's not going to say, how dumb can you be? Like some people might do. When you're confused, facing decisions, or just need clarity, ask God. He loves to guide his children and promises to give you the wisdom necessary for the moment. Okay, James 1 and 6. But let him ask in faith, nothing wavering. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. But let him ask in faith. When we seek wisdom or anything from God, we must believe that he hears us and will answer. Let me enlarge that part. According to his will. According to his will. That's something that we need to understand. And sometimes in immaturity, we do not understand that it's going to be according to his will. People will tell you just to ask and he's going to give it to you. According to his will. Nothing wavering, no doubting or second guessing. This means having a confident, unwavering trust in God's ability and willingness to respond. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, a vivid image. A person who doubts is unstable, like a wave that at the mercy of every wind and current, driven with the wind and tossed. Doubt makes us spiritually unstable, easily swayed by circumstances, emotions, or other opinions. And we are very emotional creatures. And this walk is not about being emotional. If it doesn't feel good, we're not walking with God. Or if it doesn't feel good, it's not God or whatever. We're emotional. God honors faith-filled prayers. He desires us to come boldly before him, fully trusting that he is both able and willing to provide what we need. A doubting heart causes spiritual instability, but a believing heart stands firm. Okay, now let's get into the background. James 1 and 5. If any of you lack wisdom, let him ask of God that giveth to all men liberally and upbraideth not, and it shall be given him. If any of you lack wisdom, this shows that the perfection before spoken of is not to be understood as in this life. since the apostle immediately supposes lack of wisdom in them. Okay? What happened to my page? Okay. Okay. All right. That's okay. Supposes, but rather supposing and taking it for granted that they did want wisdom. In primary sense of the words, it intends wisdom to behave aright under temptations or afflictions. Saints often want wisdom to consider God as the author of them and not look upon them as matters of chance or impute them merely to second causes, but to regard them as coming from the hand of God and as his hand upon them, as Job did, who does not ascribe his calamities to the thieving Chaldeans and Sabaeans, to the boisterous wind, and to the malice of Satan, but to God. Now, immature saints, that's one thing that, it irritates me, but I'm not God, so I can get irritated. um, every time something happens that we don't feel good about or didn't turn out the way we wanted, you know, it automatically becomes the devil is busy, and I just don't give him no claps. I don't give him any applause because I know who has all power. So I don't concern myself with someone who doesn't have all power. He has some power. But look, I'm focused on the one who has all power. And as soon as immature saints, something happens, things don't go their way, anything that is disappointing to them, they automatically say the devil is busy. Job didn't say the devil is busy when he lost all his kids, when he lost everything he had. He attributed to God. And as you do remember that God asked Satan, had you considered my servant Job? And he was the one who gave him permission to touch everything that he had except him. So, if we're going to believe Romans 8:28, that all things work together for the good of those who love God, to those who are called according to his purpose, then saying that the devil is busy doesn't make sense. They kind of contradicts one another because, well, maybe you don't love God. Maybe you're not called according to his purpose because all things for those people work for the good. Okay. They want wisdom to observe the sovereignty of God. A lot of people don't even respect the sovereignty of God, which means that God can do what he wants, when he wants, how he wants, for however long he wants, to whomever he wants, because he's God. He doesn't have to ask permission of God in them and bow unto it and be still and know that he is God. Sometimes it's just hard to be still and know that he is God. We want to get our hands in the mix and try to fix things ourselves, which usually makes a bigger mess. Who does all things well and wisely, and likewise to see and know that all are in love and in very faithfulness and for good, as well as to see his name, to hear his rod and him that has appointed it, his voice in it, his mind and meaning, and what he designs by it. When things happen, I may not know the why, but I do know the who. God is in control. That's all I need to know. Okay. As likewise to learn the useful lessons under it. Sometimes we have to be taught lessons, and particularly to take the cross well, to bear it patiently, and to count it all joy, and reckon it to be right, necessary, and useful. It requires much wisdom to learn all of this and to act upon it. We show a lack of wisdom when we don't understand and see God in everything. You don't have to understand everything, but just knowing that he has all power, just knowing that he is in control should settle us somewhat. That's why it's important to be in the word and to know him. Okay, who does all things well and wisely, and likewise to see his rod and him that has appointed it, his voice in it, his mind and meaning, and what he designs by it. Likewise to learn the useful lessons under it, okay? And even to count it all joy. It might not feel joyful, but we should count it joy. Might not feel good, but we count it joy. Okay, and reckon it to be right, necessary, and useful. It requires wisdom to learn all of this and act upon it. Moreover, this may be applied to all other cases in which wisdom is wanted. Men want wisdom to conduct them in common affairs of life, and especially the people of God. For the children of the world are wiser in their generation for themselves and posterity, and in the management of worldly affairs than the children of light, and also to observe the providences of God and the footsteps of providence. and to follow them, and likewise to make a right use of providences and behave suitably under them, and not be lifted up too much in prosperity and be cast down, and too much distressed in adversity, but to consider that the one is set against the other, and both work together for a good. Saints have need of wisdom in things spiritual. They want more grace, which is the truest wisdom, and a larger knowledge of the gospel, which is the wisdom of God, the hidden wisdom of God. And they lack wisdom to know how to walk towards them that are without and towards them that are within. So as becomes the gospel of Christ, and as this is more or less the case of everyone. Now, if you're on a computer, and I guess you could do it on your phone too, if you're part of my John 17:17 group on Facebook, I always post the link to this Bible um, to show you, because I do this is I'm sharing the word, but I'm also showing you how to study and how easy it can be. You have to be willing to invest in knowing God if you want to not receive things from Him, but to receive Him, just to know Him. If you want that peace in your life and things like that. So I want to show you this, what you can do. Um, I don't know, most of you might be using your phone. But like if you click on a word, maybe you don't know the word, you can go here and ask Pilot, and it'll show up on the side. Explain the following text. Okay, I don't want to do that. I just want a simple definition of providence. It's just no excuse. Providence simply means the protective care which God has provided, guidance which God provides, or plan of a higher power, often associated with God directing the world and human lives according to divine purpose. And this is what we want. We want the providences of God. He gives them to us. He, gives us instruction. He's leading, he's guiding us in his ways. Okay. Let him ask of God. Wisdom of God the Father, who is the only wise God, who has abounded in creation, in providence, and above all, in redemption and grace, in all wisdom and prudence, and of his Son, Jesus Christ, who is the wisdom of God, and has all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge in him, and of the Spirit of God, who is the spirit of wisdom and revelation in the knowledge of Christ and all divine things, that give it to all men liberally. God is the giver of all good things. In nature, providence, and grace, every good and perfect gift comes from him, and therefore he and he only should be applied unto. And he gives to all men the bounties of his providence, and to all that ask and call upon him in sincerity, the riches of his grace, even to Jews and Gentiles, high and low, rich and poor, greater or lesser sinners, all which he gives liberally, readily, and at once, freely and cheerfully, and largely and abundantly, not grudgingly, sparingly, and with a straight hand, but with an open one and in a very extensive manner. Okay. So, we like to, well, not we, but people like to judge one person by what they do and another person by doing this. None of us are above the other. And he gives all his children wisdom if they ask for it sincerely. And upbraideth not with former sins and transgressions, with former miscarriages and misconducts, or with former kindness. He doesn't, hold your former sins against you and say, I'm not going to give you wisdom because you did this. That's the way people treat you. I'm not going to give you wisdom because you messed up on this when I did this. That's not how God treats us. Or with former kindness, suggesting that he had given largely already and his favors had been despised or abused. You abused your privileges. He's not going to withhold wisdom from you. Or he had been treated with ingratitude and neglect, you know, in which manner sometimes men put off those that apply unto them, but so does not God. Wherefore, every word here is encouraging to go to God for wisdom. Yea, it follows, and it shall be given him. God has said it. Christ has promised it, and the apostle might with certainty say it after them. And all experience confirms the truth of it. Now, I'm not going to go into Matthew 7:7, but I'll read it. Ask and it shall be given you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and it shall be open for you. But do remember the part about it being his will. Okay, according to his will. We forget that part. Nobody wants that part. We want everything that we want, when we want, how we want it. No matter what God wants, okay? James 1 and 6, but let him ask in faith, nothing wavering, for he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. Let him ask in faith, not only in faith of the divine being that God is, but in the faith of the promises he has made, and in the faith of his power and faithfulness to perform them, and in the faith of this, that whatever is asked according to the will of God, again, according to the will of God, and for his glory and his people's good, shall be given, nothing wavering about the thing asked for, whether it is right or no to ask for it, for that should be settled before it is asked for. You should know whether you should ask for it before you even ask for it, nor about the power of God. And you don't know that because you ain't studying to try to get to know him. If you know him, your prayers start changing, you start wanting more of God's face and not his hand. The hand is the gimme, gimme, gimme. I want this, I want that. The face is I just want to know you. I want to know what you want me to do. What should I say? Where should I go? When should I? You want the wisdom of God. You want his instruction because you trust him, because you love him. You want to do what he tells you to do. Okay. Nor about, okay, let's see. That should be settled before it's asked, nor about the power of God to do it, or about his will and things he has declared he will do. If he's declared it, he will do it. Nor about his faithfulness to his promises, nor at all questioning, but what is proper, suitable, and convenient will be given in God's own time and his way. For he that wavereth is like a wave of the sea, driven with the wind and tossed. He is troubled, restless, unquiet, and impatient, fickle, inconstant, unstable, and unsettled, and is easily carried away with every wind of doctrine, temptation, and lust. Have no stability when you're not dependent on God. None whatsoever. You're wavering in everything that you do. All right? Have a blessed, blessed day on today. That's what you do.
Never alone, I can go to the throne. He's right beside me. Hold my hand in the valley. Lost but night found me. I don't know where I would be. Don't know who I